Fancy a family hatchback with a bit more flair than a Golf, Focus or Astra? Well, you want something French.
But which did you choose between the revolutionary new Renault Megane, the stylish Citroen C4 Cactus or the posh Peugeot 308?
To help you decide which of these cars suits you best, I'm going to critique their cabins.
And it definitely feels the most technologically advanced inside.
Compare their design.
It kind of looks a bit like a Volkswagen Golf, only with more personality.
See how practical they are.
You've got a big glove box in the top of the dash. Genius.
And test what they're like to drive.
You can get this car with something pretty unique.
But first, let's talk about their prices.
The Peugeot starts at just under £15,500, the Citroen just under £13,000 and the Renault just over £16,500. But when you do the maths and compare them for spec and engine, it works out that the Citroen is about 500 quid cheaper than the Megane, which is about 500 quid cheaper than the Peugeot. But none of that really matters. What matters is the price you can actually get on a car from a dealer. So if you click up there to go to carwow.co.uk, you can build your ideal car and see the best deal you can get on it.
The average car wow saving on the Peugeot is a whopping £4,800. The saving on the Citroen is £3,700 and on the new Megane it's £3,200, even though it's pretty much brand new.
And it definitely feels the most technologically advanced inside, especially because it's got this new portrait-style infotainment screen, which is just like an iPad, unless of course you hold an iPad like that. Now the system is actually very easy to use. I really do like it. The only problem is that it's only available on higher spec cars. Lower spec cars just get a smaller screen.
More expensive cars also get digital dials and extra styling goodness. And on the whole, the Megane's cabin feels pretty modern. So too is the Peugeot's, and it has a pleasing lack of buttonness.
Trouble is, you have to control everything through this screen, and well, it's a little bit of a palaver. And while the car does look expensive on the inside, there are bits of it that are just a bit yuck. Then there's this small steering wheel cockpit design up there with the dials above the wheel, and depending on your position, the wheel can block the dials. It's not ideal.
It's the same story with the Citroen. The interior has been inspired by posh luggage, yet the quality is more Louis Vuitton than Louis Vuitton. The same lag infotainment system as in the 308 doesn't help either.
What's more annoying is that while you can move the steering wheel up and down, you can't alter it for reach, so if you like to sit away from the pedals, you might end up having to drive like that.
But this car is more about the style, and there's certainly nothing like it on the road.
These colour-coded air bumps protect the car from minor scrapes. Now what are you looking at? See?
The Peugeot is a smart-looking thing, and also has some unique features, such as rear lights which mimic a lion's paw. Apparently.
It kind of looks a bit like a Volkswagen Golf, only with more personality. Though that's not hard.
The Renault, meanwhile, fits between the cool of the Peugeot and the quirky of the Citroen.
This actually looks more like a one-off design concept rather than an everyday car that normal people can actually afford to buy.
It's a reasonably practical car. There's plenty of head and legroom in the back, and even taller adults should be able to get comfy. Plus, you can carry 3 at a stretch without too much trouble. In terms of fitting a baby seat, it's not the easiest because the rear doors are quite narrow. Still, the car does have pretty good cubby spaces.
The boot capacity is about average for this class of car, but there's no clever features like a raisable boot floor, which would be handy because this bumper that protrudes creates quite a ledge to lift stuff over, though it does make for quite a nice seat.
And you don't with the Peugeot either, but its boot is slightly larger with the seats up or down, so overall carrying capacity is the best of the 3 cars here. However, there is a trade-off for this.
In its quest to maximise luggage space, Peugeot has sacrificed rear knee room, so this car isn't particularly great for giving adults a lift in the back.
Taller adults will struggle for head and leg room, and 3 is most definitely a crowd. And cubby spaces are the worst among the 3 cars here. The glove box, for instance, is tiny.
That's not a problem in the Citroen though, because they move the passenger airbag from here to up there, so you've got a big glove box in the top of the dash. Genius!
What's not so clever is the boot. There's no split folding rear seats, there's hardly any features, and the overall capacity is less than the 2 rival cars here. Rear passenger space is pretty good, though it's not great for carrying 3 at once because of the narrow body. Still though, it's better than the Peugeot. Plus, the Cactus is the best car when it comes to fitting a child seat. Now though, we come to the test drive bit, to see how these cars compare on the road.
You sit a bit higher in a Cactus than you do a normal hatchback, and as a result you get a good view forward. Also, you've got that classic soft Citroen suspension, so it's great over bumps. The trade-off is, though, that it's a bit roly-poly in the corners, and if you do push it too hard in a bend, the car starts to run wide, almost like the steering's on strike. big on strike, that's very French, isn't it? Also, what's French is the gear shift. It's all a bit stodgy, a bit like it's filled with creme brulee. Now, I can't fault the engines, they're all really impressive. The 1.6 litre diesel in this car is a little bit noisy, which is a shame because otherwise the car's quite quiet. Should be able to do 80 miles per gallon, but I'm getting 47, it's all right. I'd go for the 1.2 litre turbo petrol. That's a great engine, suits this car.
You pretty much get the same engines in the Peugeot, or the 1.2 litre once again is the pick. Today, we're testing diesels.
So this 308 has the same 1.6 litre diesel as the Cactus, only in that car it had 100 horsepower. In this one, we've got the 120 horsepower version, and it does feel a bit more punchy, which is better for overtaking. Also, it does the same 80 or so miles per gallon, and I've actually got the automatic, which I prefer than the manual in the Cactus, but it's still not the best auto in the business, you know. In terms of economy, well, I'm actually only doing 47, which is the same as the Citroen, so how's that for consistent driving? Now, on the whole, I think this 308 does just feel more sophisticated and expensive to drive than the Citroen. It just does. It's still comfortable enough, but it just feels a little bit more composed when you're driving it through the corners. That said, it's not the sportiest car. You're not going to get too carried away. There is one thing though that I do notice in this car, and that's it seems to have quite a bit more wind noise than the Cactus, which could get on your nerves.
So where does the Renault fit into all this?
You can get this car with something pretty unique, and that's four-wheel steering, which is like what you get on a forklift truck. And what it means is this car is, well, it's more manoeuvrable at low speed and then more stable at high speed, and the system kind of works, it does do that. And on the whole, this is quite a pleasant car to drive. It majors on comfort, and it does feel a bit more composed over bumps than the other two cars. The only thing is, though, is that it just doesn't feel all that French. It's a little bit lacking in personality. It feels a bit more like a Korean car. You know, it's good, it's competent, but it's just a little bit dull. Also, I prefer the engines in the other two cars. To be fair though, this 1.5 litre diesel is very economical. It's returning 59 miles per gallon.
So then, where does all that leave us?
Well, the Peugeot 308, it feels upmarket and it's easy to drive. The Citroen C4 Cactus, it's just quirky, cool, it's interesting. But it's the new Renault Megane, which, well, it combines comfort, it's easy to drive, it looks fabulous, and it's got that brilliant new infotainment system, which wins this French car group test.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and click on our logo to subscribe to our channel. Click on the video windows to watch the individual in-depth reviews of each of the cars in this group test.